Good morning. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. I was just finishing off my hot cross bun while it was warm. Has to be done on this Good Friday morning. So welcome. And as I said yesterday, we're going to attempt to do something a bit different today. We'll go with the theme of the day, really. It's the beginning of the Easter weekend. Obviously today is Good Friday. If people are still having to go out to work, they might be unsurprised. They might be sort of home anyway today. Certainly Mike is at home today, but it feels very odd having a bank holiday. Hi Emma, morning Valerie. Feels very odd having a bank holiday when every day just feels as if it's the same as the last one. But I thought I'd come on anyway this morning. As I said, I'd come on Monday to Friday. We're still Friday, even though it's Good Friday, but we're going to do some Eastery themed projects today. So excellent. So it's the start of our summer here, Chrissy. So you're into your loving winter time. We're enjoying the sunshine. We're going to have a nice sunny day today and for most of the weekend. And then on Monday, the temperature is going to drop away, apparently. So it could be as high as 25 degrees over the next couple of days. And then by Monday, they're saying it could drop to 10 or 12. So we're going to have a very mixed weekend here. So we're making the most of the sunshine here while we can, but we're really pleased that you can catch us live as well. So Good Friday, and obviously, you know, Christian celebration. But I thought that we would do a couple of different cards. One of them, we would have a bit of a play with the Hold On to Hope and the Cross of Hope stamp set, and use a technique that you'd be able to use with different, for different times of the year, different ideas. But it was a card that I saw and I never wrote the lady's name down, which is very rude of me. So to the lady that came up with this in the first place, I salute you, and I'll try and look her up and credit her when I edit the video later. I just thought it was a really lovely idea, so we'll have a go at casing her idea. And the other thing that we'll do is we'll make a little Easter table type decoration. So a couple of different projects for this morning. Let me just shut my door behind me. Mike is not going to shut. He doesn't want to shut. Doesn't want to shut him out. He's watching the television in the other room, and although we can't really hear it, occasionally if there's a particular noisy thing, and he does like these sort of gun blazing type things, it might sound, so just shut the door so we don't hear that. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little cross just here. As I say, you could do this with different ideas as well. I'm just going to die cut that. So let's cut that out. I've not tried this. We will see how it works, but it seemed a jolly good idea. So I thought, let's go for it. Oh. First technical hitch. Where's my other plate gone from my big shot? That's not good. I haven't got much out in the way of junk, so where's that gone? Aha! It is there. They've just gone on in the wrong order. It was tucked underneath my tucked underneath my thin die adapter. Oh, excuse me. Hay fever season. The pollen's high as well. So there we go. I've just die cut one of those little crosses. These are fabulous if you're doing baptism cards or anything like that. And some sympathy cards and things. Right, we're now going to take a piece of Whisper White and we'll cut it down so that it is 9.5 by 13.9. We want to attach that cross in the middle there, but we want to be able to remove it later. So what I'm going to do is just grab a couple of glue dots. I don't know what it is about my glue dots at the moment. They seem to keep going AWOL. Let's just use some of these little ones just here. So I'm just going to put a couple of glue dots because I just want it. Morning, Janice. I want it to stay in place. And Lisa, hello. Hope you've all managed to eat your hot cross buns today. I had, you get such fancy hot cross buns these days, don't you? Mine were Bramley, apple and cinnamon. And Mike doesn't eat any dried fruit at all. So he's just had, and I made them warm. That's a very special treat, is having them warm with butter. Yum, yum. The way they should be eaten. So Bramley, apple and cinnamon for me. Mike's just had chocolate and salted caramel. No dried fruit for him. And his was warm as well. And then Sam just had a couple of ordinary ones. Excellent. Valerie's still doing Easter cards. Yes, Valerie, I had mine come yesterday. I will share that in a minute. So thank you very much. I've had another card come through the door. So that's all very exciting. Right, so we've got our little cross that we've just put a couple of glue dots on, and that's not going to make very good camera angles, is it? Because it's white on white. Actually, white on white is quite classic and things, isn't it? And we're going to take the Painted Harvest stamp set and we're going to take these big sunflower stamps, and we might need that centre as well. So let's find some biggish blocks to go with these, and we'll put a foam mat underneath it. And I've picked out some sort of yellows and oranges and things. So I think we're going to go Grapefruit Grove and Daffodil Delight initially. And we'll go, I think, Daffodil Delight first. So we're going to take this sunflower stamp, ink it up, and putting that cross section of the cross in the centre. It's very handy. We're going to stamp that first flower. We've got a bit of a thing going around, but actually I don't think that's going to matter particularly on this card. Then I'm going to take the other flower from this sunflower. And we'll sort of twist that a little bit, but again, have that cross section of the cross through the middle. I think we'll take this little centerpiece just here, we'll pop that on a block. I think we'll do that in, I think I might stay with the Grapefruit Grove actually. And we'll have that in the centre. And then I'm going to cross over to the, excuse the pun, morning Charlotte. Cross over to this stamp set. I'm going to take out this foliage stamp and possibly this little corner foliage and perhaps the butterfly as well. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to take some of the pumpkin pie. That's just where that edge piece is just there. We'll come up here with some of that foliage. Then we'll perhaps take this little corner one just here and some crushed curry, so slightly darker yellow. Perhaps coming round here when we've got that. I also take just a little out of the Painted Harvest. There's just like this little stamp with the little spots on. Let's come in. Pop in a few little spots as well. Right, okay. What we're now going to do is take off this cross where we've stuck it on with glue dots. And what we have left is this sort of sunburst cross effect, which is really rather pretty. This itself is rather pretty as well. You could use that for a different project. That is just rather lovely. And then I think the sentiment that caught my eye is this one here that says "Hold on to hope." That one seems very appropriate right now. So I will just pop that out. I think I'm actually going to trim this card down a little bit and make it a note card size. I think that would be a more appropriate size for this project because I don't think it wants much more on. So let's trim it down, and I'm going to trim it down so that it's 3 inches by 4.5. So I'm going to take a chunk off of that side. And a chunk off of that side, and a chunk off the bottom. Beautiful. That's better, more proportionate. And then I'm going to take, excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning, a little bit of black card here. And we'll trim that so that it's 3.25 by 4.75 to frame that there. And we've got a note card just here that can sit on like that. Then we just need that greeting, and I think we'll go with, let's find a block. We'll go with the pumpkin pie, bring out that orange. Now, is that little bit of card just there that we trimmed about right? I think it is. Hi Angie, hope you're doing okay this morning. Oh, I've overstamped that. That's because it's a sponge. I've put my sponge mat underneath and it's a rubber stamp. Doesn't need it. Too much sponginess going on. There we go. And I think we'll find a little bit of pumpkin pie cardstock to back that. Rummaging around in my scraps. And grab my snail. Ignore the stamping on their back, as I have said to lots of ladies in the past. That's why card has two sides. There we go. Now we have got a couple of different yellow ribbons. There's both the Daffodil Delight one that we used yesterday, which is like a ruched ribbon. We've also got some crushed curry seam binding. I don't think I've got any of the haven't got any of the Grapefruit Grove ribbon left, but there is that one as well if you happen to have any. I think I'm going to go with the stronger yellow. Quite like that. I like the texture on crinkled on seam binding as well. It sort of gives a sort of almost scruffy-ish sort of a bow. It's very soft. Going to trim that off and decide what or if we're going to do with it in a moment. If we want a bow on it, I'm not sure whether we do. I think what I might do is take our little ladybird, not a ladybird, a butterfly. Know your creatures, Helen. We'll take that little butterfly and we'll ink it up with crushed curry, because that's a slightly paler colour, and then we're just going to dabble it round, do a bit of sort of rock and rolling on the pumpkin pie. So we get a slightly two-tone butterfly, and let's cut that out and we'll have our butterfly, I think, on our banner rather than the ribbon. So just snipping round my butterfly. So as I'm doing this, I'm just wondering what other sorts of shapes you could use, what other sort of shapes you could die cut and use for that technique. That's better. I think we'll just have a little just wondering if it wants a bit more of the yep, I quite like that. I'm going to take it down a bit more. I'm going to trim it down to 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to do a pumpkin pie mat as well. That is 4.5 inches we're doing now by 3 inches. I'm doing it in inches because the little note cards are in inches, so that's it. Hi Karen. So we just need to bring that together. So yes, you could do punches as well. So you could punch out sort of butterfly shapes, or even just having this, you know, basic shapes, circles and ovals and those sorts of things that you could then stamp round to create this image that leaves the negative in the middle. So although in honour of it being Good Friday, we've done one with the Cross of Hope card set, there's no reason why you can't take that idea and use it with other things. And then last but not least, the black layer on the Whisper White note card. And then we'll have this little Hold On to Hope come up on some dimensionals. One, two, three. It's not helpful. I've stuck that back on there the wrong way round. It won't actually matter because the middle one is as much about balance as it is about sticking it in place. And then we'll have a little dimensional for our little butterfly. So there we are. When harvest time meets Easter. And that's a really pretty background. I love that sort of layered up sort of texture that's going on in there with that painted harvest. And then the foliage and things from the Hold On to Hope stamp set. Little spots from the painted harvest. So lots of little things going in there. And you could add in a couple of little sequins if you liked. But yeah, so thank you. As I say, I will credit the lady whose idea that was, but I just thought that was a beautiful idea. Really lovely. So that's that little card. Let me just gather these things to one side. So the other thing that I said we'd do is perhaps do a little bit of a Eastery, table-y idea. So I'm just going to leave these stamps out of the way for one moment, and I'll gather those up and clean them when we've finished. So somewhere in my basket we've had the hot cross bun, got my Cadbury's cream egg. I'm sure that these get smaller and smaller every year, whether it's just that I get bigger and bigger, I'm not sure. But we've got a Cadbury's cream egg, and I thought we'd make a little sort of something to stand it in. So again, not quite sure where this is going to take us. This is playing around with some bits and pieces, but I've cut a piece of card here. So this granny apple piece of card is about 14 centimetres long and about 2.5 centimetres high, and so we're going to be able to wrap that round and create a little stand for that. Perhaps it doesn't even need to be as long as that, but it will create a little stand for our egg to sit in when we're finished with it. And I've also got the ornate borders die, so I thought I would take this flowery border here, and I'm going to take this little scalloped and sort of dotty border here. So I'm going to do a dotty scalloped border across the top of our piece of green card. So if I do that first, run that through. Right, so we've got, get rid of those little holes, so that gives you that sort of stitched and holey top to that piece of, that band of card. As I say, we're going to be able to bring round, and we might need to trim it off a little bit to fit our egg. As long as we line the holes up, that will be fine. Yeah, I think about there. Let me put my thumb on that hole just there and grab a bit of Tombow. I think this one is very nearly empty. Let's line those holes back up again. Hello, Jeanette. So that will just sit then nicely in there. So let's give that a good press down. Beautiful. I'll leave that to one side to dry a little bit. Then I will cut this one out of some Whisper White card. Now this is the one that's going to hopefully completely pop out. Let's get rid of those little inner pieces. That's going to completely pop out of there. So I think that's the slightly flatter base. So we're going to have to have that winding around the top as well. And we might need to do a bit of just flower trimming just to decide how that works the best. maybe that I think snip that rose off just there. If I snip off this rose, curve that round to keep that flower's shape. And I think that is going to then sit round there rather beautifully. Look at that. But obviously we don't want it white, we're going to colour that in. But before we get our pens out and start colouring that in, there's somebody else I want to colour in. So I think we'll have a Fable Friends bunny. We could have a duck or a squirrel, but we're going to go for the bunny. We'll grab a little bit of Whisper White card and to stamp him onto. And we're going to use our stamping blends, so let's grab our Memento ink. I've just catapulted my stays on down the side. There we go. Let's rescue that. And let's ink up Mr. Bunny. Stamp him. He's so lovely, isn't he? I've not played with him for a little while. So now we've got a rabbit and some flowers that need colouring in. I'll cut him out in a minute, I'll colour him in first. So let's grab our stamping blends and decide what colours we're going to do our flowers. Now obviously we've got Granny Apple Green in the background and for our strip that we've created, so we'll use some Granny Apple Green for the leaves and things on here. Other than that, really we could go with whatever colours we like, can't we? So there's a bit of Daffodil Delight. We have, what should we have? So we have some lovely lipsticks, nice bright, oh no, that's real red. Some nice bright pink. Some yellow, pink. We could have, let's have some Highland Heather, shall we? Try to see what sort of flowers we've got. There's 1, 2, got your rosy bit just there, 3. I think we perhaps want a couple of different colours on these, so I think that's 4 different colour flowers. So we've got 3 there, so let's have let's go pumpkin pie. Okay, move my ribbon box off my chair so that I can sit down, bring my chair in, and let's do some colouring. Oh, I haven't thought about rabbit. Well, we'll use some of the colours that we've used for the flowers in the rabbit as well, I think, although obviously he is going to need to be coloured rabbit colour. So we'll have some plum cake. We might need some petal pink. We don't have to have a brown rabbit. We could have had a grey rabbit or a white rabbit. But let's have some browns as well for our rabbit. Right, so let's start with our flowers, and I'm going to go in and do some, we'll colour in some of this foliage. And just here. And then this one here, it looks like a bit of a leaf sticking out around the edge of that flower. So a leaf shape just there. Then I think I'm going to swap over to the light granny apple green, just so that these big leaves are just a slightly different tone. So same. Same colour, just different, the lighter rather than the darker. So there's some granny apple. Oh, we've got another one just here. What we want to do. Another of those big leaves. And then our big flowers here, I think we'll do some in yellow and some in orange, but I might do let's come around the edge of this with the dark Daffodil Delight. Perhaps we'll come around these centre flowers with some dark Daffodil Delight. And then we'll come in with the light one and blend that away. I think actually, although we had a good play with the borders and the stamps and things in this suite last week, I don't think we actually played with this border. So it's quite nice to get that one out to have a play with today. And then I think this little one on the end will make Daffodil Delight as well. Wrong end, Helen. So we'll come around that middle with the dark, and around the edge with the dark. And then we'll come in with the light and blend that out. Okay, and then the other two flowers we'll do with pumpkin pie. Oh, I do like a bit of colouring, Angie, and it is the sort of thing that you can do sitting in bed. Hope you continue to be on the mend. We'll do that centre bit and come in with the light one. And then we'll come down to this one down here. Really brings that to life, doesn't it, adding the colour. Oh, actually, I think I've just coloured in orange something that should be green. Let's come over that bit. That's a leaf, not a flower. That's better. Looked a bit odd just there. Let's come in again with our light pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is completely out of season for Easter, isn't it? I don't know, is it? It's not something that we eat particularly here. Do have pumpkins now at Halloween, but certainly isn't a traditional British dish. There, so we've got some yellow and some orange. Let's... oh, shall we have... I'm going to go light, lovely lipstick for this rose, I think. So we are just colouring around these sort of lines, so you haven't got a lot of room to do a lot of shading, so I'm sticking with just the light one. And then with these other flowers, I think likewise you haven't got a lot of room for shading, so I think we'll do a mixture of light and dark Highland heather, so some dark and some light. Just to give a bit of a change of tone. So we'll do that one dark and this one dark. And I'll do that one light, and I think I'll do this one dark and the one on the other end light. Because these two are going to wrap around and be almost next to each other. So we'll have the two different shades. And here's the light one. There's one. A little bit of yellow showing, a little bit of white showing there through that yellow. Might need to come in and fill a few of the white spots in a minute. Right, so let's just fill in any places where it's still a bit white. Oh, sorry, wobbling you. So that's our flower border, and now we need our little rabbit. So what have we got here? We've got, let's just, what colour am I going to do his coat? Might make it yellow actually, as a nice sort of Easter coat. But let's have a little look. I've got some dark petal pink here, so I think I'm going to do the inners of his ears in dark petal pink, and we'll give him a pink nose and a bit of pink around his cheeks. And we'll come in with some dark crumb cake. And this outside bit. And then we'll come in with some light crumb cake. And we'll blend all that out. Pink cheeks, dark edges. So it sort of takes away the sort of harshness that's in, just gives you like a tinge of pink around his nose and his hands there. So let's do his hands, his little paws. I don't think rabbits actually have hands, do they? There's his little paws. He is so cute. And then we'll come round down here, again with the dark crumb cake. Where we think it's a bit darker, we'll do the dark crumb cake. Then we'll come in with the light crumb cake and blend that all out. His little tummy area, I'm going to come in with the ivory colour. I'll blend that round the edges a bit as well. Just to give him a different colour tummy. So there's our little rabbit. And then we decided we were going to give him a daffodil yellow coat. His Easter jacket. Let's come in with the light daffodil delight and blend that out. We'll come around the buttons because we'll give him a different colour button. There we are, and I think we'll give him pumpkin pie buttons. There he is. So let's cut him out. I'm afraid he is going to lose his whiskers. I'm not going to attempt to cut those out. If you did want to have him to have whiskers, you could take some of the black twine and split it and take off a couple of little black threads and use those as whiskers. Obviously, if I was sticking him on a card front or something, I could draw his whiskers in. I don't think that will necessarily work in this occasion. But they are really just too fiddly to attempt to cut out, I think. Even if I did, you could bet that I'd get to the end one and then snip it off. Hi Beryl, hi Jane. So we have our little Easter bunny, our little flowers, and our hoop to put our egg in. So let us go with our flowers first. I think they want to come this way so that those sticky up leaf bits, we can keep this bottom relatively flat. And we'll start from there and come back to there. I'll probably go over slightly just so that it's not quite sitting on the that big flower will cover the seam then. So I think actually I'm going to there's my glue dots. I think I'm going to use glue dots to stick that on there. Let's go with this one. Put a glue dot on there. And a glue dot, I'm going to go on the bottom of that leaf because that might be coming up quite high. We'll put another one on the bottom of that orange flower there, and we'll put one, that one that's just stuck to my finger, we'll put on that yellow flower there. So with that orange flower sitting on that seam, that round, we will want one on the back of here, and if we can just raise that up a little bit so that that little purple flower sits flush. So there, we've got our little ring of pretty Easter flowers, our egg that sits in it, and then we've just got our little bunny to pop on the front somewhere, and we'll have him, let's see, sitting, there's a good place for him. About there. Let's put some dimensionals on the back of him. We'll put 1, 2 quite close together down the bottom there. There's our little stand for our Easter egg, a little cream egg. He's rather cute, isn't he? So obviously that's what it would look like if you were looking at him on the table, because you can't really see him. So a cute little egg holder, and obviously you can adapt that to fit the size of your egg, but that fitted beautifully with that border. That was just the right length for that little border. So there's a couple of little Easter projects for this morning. So we did our traditional sort of Easter card, but using that idea of using the cutout cross, and that we temporarily stuck to the front and then stamped that big sunflower over the top of it to create this sort of risen sun background with the foliage and things. Really pretty, and that very appropriate greeting for this time. Hold on to hope, with a little butterfly. So that's our little Easter card. Here's our little Easter table decoration. I wonder how long the egg will stay before it's eaten. Will it make it to Easter Sunday? Might have to hide it, and I might have to do a couple more. I might actually do one of these each, seeing as we're not going to get to go very far this Easter or see anybody. There'll just be the three of us. Perhaps we'll have a little Easter egg each for the table. So have a really lovely weekend, whatever it is you're doing. If you're here in the UK, the weather is set to be fine up until Monday, so plan to do things in the garden for the next couple of days, and make Monday your movie and Netflix day. But whatever you're doing, enjoy. I will try and come in on Monday morning, as long as I don't completely forget what day it is over the course of the weekend. I will come in again on Monday morning, and we'll think of something nice to do to set the week off. So have a lovely weekend, everybody. Try not to eat too much chocolate, but you know, what the heck, you eat as much as you like, really. And enjoy, and happy Easter to you all, and I'll see you again next week.